I have a deep desire to bring together two worlds that have been really meaningful to me. So the world of my early life as a mountain guide and spending a lot of time in the mountains.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I learned, so much about systems from the mountains. The mountains are such an amazing teacher, and nature is such an amazing teacher of systems and systems thinking in a sense. And then my scientific life as a professor and as a scientist and a researcher in complexity and systems thinking and system science and those fields. And, just personally, I want to bring those two together because they're both beautiful worlds that I've lived in. And from a purely pedagogical or teaching point of view, the mountains are just great teachers. The mountains are the perfect medium to teach systems thinking in.
Yeah.
Much better than a classroom or really anything, even a business or we've taught in restaurants, we've taught in businesses, we've taught in a lot of different environments, but the mountains are just so dynamic and so complex and yet so simple that they teach, it's just like having a living DSRP systems thinking classroom. So
I've had the benefit, and many people have heard, when you speak, you actually start with, you didn't start as a systems theorist, you actually started as a mountain guide. And and what you said in the beginning is what you learned about systems, you learned from nature. So maybe let's start at the beginning of that relationship that you saw and how that took you on your path. And then we can talk about the kinds of things that I learned and that we talked about in the most recent trip, because I think a lot of people haven't had the benefit of that connection that you've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think my first teacher in systems was my father, and he grew up in the jungles of Colombia and was very, loved nature and things like that, and so I think he taught a lot of those lessons early on, but then that love of nature and the jungles kind of transferred to the mountains for me, the high mountains, and that was, like you said, I mean, that's my alma mater. Yeah. The mountains are my alma mater. I mean, I went to Cornell and things like that and got my PhD and all that, and Cornell's an alma mater as well. But the alma mater that I feel connected to is the mountains of the world. And it felt like college to me. The mountains felt like college, and it felt like where I learned to understand systems. And in large part, it was because as a young kid, 17, 18, 19, as an outward bound instructor and guiding in the Alps and different things in Scotland, and was just trying to get a handle on all these different systems that you have to keep track of, right? Mm-hmm. So not only, in the mountains, you have to keep track of the weather systems and the snowpack and what the snowpack is doing for avalanche danger and, the geology of mountains and, so there's all the physical mountain stuff, and then there's all the gear that you have to deal with, right? For search and rescue systems and rope systems and, you're just the layering system that you wear in the mountains of your clothing and the way that those layers dynamically interact with each other to cause either warmth or coolness or stop you from sweating or get you sweating, and or prevent you from getting wet or cause you to get wet, and everything is so dynamic and so interrelated. And then there's the biophysical systems that you have to care about. You have to understand what's going on in your body and your metabolism and, fuel the furnace so that you can keep climbing. And then on top of that, there's this whole other dimension of the social systems that you're dealing with, whether you're guiding people or whether you're just with a group of people. a lot of people don't know this, but like one of the biggest reasons that expeditions fail isn't because of some technical challenge, like the challenge of the mountain, but it's actually because people on the expedition don't get along. So it's the social dynamics of expeditions that cause a lot of problems.
Really?
Yeah. So you have, physics, the systems of physics, the systems of chemistry, the systems of biology, physiology, the systems of psychology. It's a mental game. I mean, a huge part of mountaineering is a mental game.
That's true.
And then you've got, metabolic systems and, all those kinds of systems. And then you've got the social systems, and the dyadic dynamics of your partner climbing, and then the larger group dynamics when you're with larger groups. And then you have all these meteorological systems, like weather, which also weather, I learned so much from weather. Mm-hmm. I mean, weather is, I often think that every person who studies systems thinking and system science should study weather patterns. Oh. Because weather at the micro and the macro level is so dynamic. It's so dynamic and so interrelated, and everything is sort of relative to everything else, whether you have cold or hot air masses or whether you have high pressure or low pressures at the macro level on the whole, planet, all the way down to micro regions, that are weather being caused by mountains and weather being caused by terrains and things like that. So all of these systems that I just talked about have to be synthesized into one system of systems